Welcome to the second part of the Avaya Stratus presentation. Now, during the first part of the agenda, Human Pastar, the mid-market account manager at Avaya, discussed what makes Avaya hosted solutions the most advanced on the market. Now, why use Avaya? Avaya's vision, the nirvana, where you would like to get to in cloud-based telephony. This part of the agenda discusses how Avaya's hosted solutions can be tailored to your infrastructure and your business and your requirements. What I wanted to do was kind of flip that into a question and ask, how do West Pier's hosted solutions powered by Avaya technology differentiate from the competition? What makes us different? Why would you use us? Well, one reason you might choose to use us is our excellent customer service. We've been awarded Avaya Partner in Customer Excellence in 2015 and 2016, working towards the same goal in 2017. And this is an independent body that calls Avaya customers on behalf of Avaya and scores those. And West Pier received a score of 95% or above in the year 2016. And there was approximately 4 Avaya business partners out of 400 that received this award. So we're quite proud of that. So let's talk about the technology. Why West Pier? Why West Pier's cloud infrastructure? There's a fundamental infrastructure difference between how your generic cloud-based providers deliver cloud-based telephony and the way that we would do it using Avaya technology. And this is called tenancy-based or tenant-based versus multi-instance. So let's look at tenant-based first. So you have a data center, your service provider provides a data center infrastructure on top of which they supply a large soft switch, usually manufactured by a company called Broadsoft. And this soft switch is tenancy based. So if you take a service from the provider as a customer, you'll be sharing that service with other users on the platform. So you could think of that like an apartment in a high-rise block of flats. Okay, you're sharing that block of flats with everybody else that lives there. And on the other side of the fence, you have the multi-instance approach. These are a few of the providers that take that approach. Horizon, which is Gamma's product, which is based on Broadsoft, Vanilla IP, and Vonage. Okay, the way that we do it, powered by Avaya, is we provide it as a multi-instance. So instead of sharing one common large platform, every customer has their own unique instance of the software within the data center infrastructure for them. Now, you might think, why is that important? Why does it matter? Who cares? Okay. Here are some of the reasons why it does matter and why we believe it should matter to you as an end customer. First and foremost, being on a tenancy-based, large-scale, high-subscription model. I'm going to call it a Broadsoft platform because they have a large market share and a lot of the providers out there use Broadsoft or Broadworks as their platform. Because these platforms require a very high volume of subscriptions to compensate for the large infrastructure investment that these providers have had to make in the solution in order to get their investment back. They're typically targeted at basic user market, simple or few telephony requirements, and that results in a fixed and inflexible product. Okay, because it's such high volume. Whereas on the multi-instance approach, because it's your instance, every feature possible within the solution is available for you to use and customize as you require it. You're not contended, you're not restricted in that respect. So you could think of the multi-instance approach as the semi-detached house with the freehold as opposed to the block of flats. So that's first and foremost. We're talking about what we believe is a limited feature set in a tenancy-based model versus an unlimited feature set in the multi-instance approach that we take. The second thing is deployment options, and potentially restricted deployment options if you're using a tenant-based system. So because what results from having a very high volume product, very high subscription, and a model which dictates low or zero touch to the end customer, like self-service. If you look at the Vonage approach, you can go to their website, you can choose your option, A, B, or C. Vonage will ship you handsets, set up the portal to enable you to configure that. Your site, and that's it. There's very little communication or touch between the provider and the end customer. So how do they understand your true requirements? How do they build their solution around your business processes and your communication requirements? The answer is typically they don't. Typically, because it's self-service model or very low or zero touch, they just don't have, the model isn't built to do that. And as such, there'll be deployment restrictions for you. And I'll come on to discuss what they may be, or what a couple of those may be. In the multi-instance approach, because the solution is adapted to your business requirements, we work with you to fully understand what your requirements are from a cloud-based telephony platform, whether that be partial cloud or full cloud, flexible disaster recovery options, working with older cabling technologies, or providing local backup hardware on site. There's many ways in which the solution can be deployed to you. If you're an existing Avaya customer as well, and you want to take a tenancy-based cloud telephony solution, then you're probably going to have to rip and replace. The telephones that you have that you might want to reuse, if they're capable, won't be able to be reused. The software that you might have an investment in, an asset in your existing Avaya telephony platform, that has no possibility of being migrated to a tenancy-based cloud platform. There's no continuity of user experience because you're having to change the device on the end user's desk, or the soft phone, or the application on the phone. Therefore, you're going to have to retrain people. If you're an existing Avaya customer and you take our approach with the multi-instance solution powered by Avaya, then there is some investment protection. Where possible, we can migrate existing licenses to reduce your overall OPEX, or operating expenditure. If you've got digital or IP handsets that are new, that are an investment that could be reused, that's no problem. We can look to do that. If you decided to then end the contract at any period, you can retain these assets. And obviously, because you're moving from Avaya on-prem to Avaya in the cloud, there'll be a level of continuity between the user experience and your customer's experience interacting with your business. So those are three key things there: limited feature set, restricted deployment options, and are you an existing customer? And I'll try and substantiate what I mean by those things in the following slides. So let's take feature set, for example, first of all. So what I've done is I've extrapolated some common features that I think people that have been using key systems, telephone systems on premise for a long time kind of take for granted and would expect to be there on any telephony platform they used. And I've done a quick comparison between the West Pier's cloud option powered by Avaya versus, I've picked on Gamma Horizon because I know it's a BroadSoft platform and I know the platform, and picked out some features of where you may think these things are just there because they've always been there for you because you've had an on-premise telephone system, but actually they might not be there. And I'm going back to that high subscription, low feature set model that those providers take. And there's nothing wrong with that model, but is that the right model for you as a customer? Is that what you're expecting? If you're somebody who just wants, a little bit of dial tone, a few features, you've got lots of disparate offices with a few people in each office, then probably the tenancy-based cloud solution is perfect for you. But what if you want a bit more? What if you don't want to lose any functionality, or you want to make sure moving forward that you've got that functionality built into the platform? It's going to be there for you if you want to use it in the future. And a couple of things, for example, on this screen, you can see being able to handle multiple calls at the same time. If you're one of those companies that likes to have key and lamp buttons on the phones and you want to see all of your lines lined up on there and talk to one another across the office and say so-and-so for line 3 on line 4, you're going to be limited on how you can do that in a cloud-based telephony solution. If you're Mac OS users, there are going to be some limitations for you in a tenancy-based, or certainly this tenancy-based cloud environment. If you like to use point-to-point video, if you're used to using point-to-point video, or applications that sit inside Citrix, for example, if you're legislated to store call recordings for 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, you're going to have some limitations there potentially on a tenancy-based cloud platform because you're sharing it with everyone else. There just isn't enough space. And in the example of this BroadSoft platform, you're limited to 6 months worth of voice recording before you have to start downloading it and exporting it yourself before it gets deleted. So these are some just some high-level basic features that you may take for granted that you use every day. Now let's move on to some things that are slightly more complicated. So if you were to say to your tenancy-based cloud telephony provider that you would like some basic screen popping and some click to dial from your customer relationship management database, your CRM database, what they're likely to say is, yeah, no problem. Is it one of the usual suspects? Is it Dynamics? Is it Salesforce? Is it Sugar? Is it one of, say, 20 large market share CRM systems? They're likely to say, yeah, no problem, we can do that. We've got a CRM integrator that fits within our product set. But what if it's niche or homegrown? What if it's your own CRM system, or if it's one as particular to your industry that might be quite a niche product? Typically, your BroadSoft tenancy-based provider is going to say, sorry, that fits outside of the scope of our model, our solution. We're not able to do that. With our solution, we can integrate with over 100 CRM systems straight out of the box. And if you are using some open standards technology to develop your own CRM system, so if you're using like Microsoft SQL as a back-end database, and you're using something like a .NET or HTML based front end, so it's a web environment that your CRM works inside, then the chances are we're going to be able to work with you to integrate with that. It's your own instance, don't forget, to the platform, so we can work with you. We're not affecting anybody else on the platform by doing some bespoke integration work with yourselves, and we will certainly do that. Example of that is where we've had a customer take the solution and they have wanted their links to their customers' voice recordings extracted from our database and put into their own CRM system, so they can log into their customer record, they can see what calls they had with that customer, and they can click straight off that record and play back the call, as an example. Second thing might be multi-channel customer interaction. So if you've got a small contact center, or even a large contact center, currently it's voice only, voice inbound interaction from a customer, but you want to start making that multi-channel. Your customers are dictating now. They want to communicate with you on any medium that they choose, and that might be email, it might be web chat, it might be social media, and they're expecting the same experience, the same service level, the same KPIs that they get when they call you by the telephone. They want to know that you're going to answer their email, answer their web chat within a certain predefined time. So if you look at your typical BroadSoft provider, your tenancy-based cloud platform, they're probably going to say, actually, that's not part of our product set, doesn't fit within our model, but if you want to, you can take another third-party cloud-based multi-channel platform and you can overlay it on top of ours. With our solution, because we're powered by Avaya, and Avaya are #1 worldwide in contact centers, this is a module that you can add on. A bit of software. It's fully integrated, so it's just an enhancement to the software package. Let's take that a step further. What about data-driven routing? So in this example on screen, we've got a call coming in, looking to a database to work out who was the last agent that customer spoke to, or the last person that customer spoke to. And an example of this is we have a clinical customer where the clinician assigned to an account is dynamic, it changes. So when a call comes in, we make a query on their database, we find out which clinician is currently working that customer, and we try them first, we route the call to them first, providing an efficient service to the end user, to the customer. So if you take your typical cloud-based tenancy provider, they're probably going to say that's way outside of their product set, their feature set, what their product is designed to do. With our solution, it's something we can definitely develop for you, because of that multi-instance, uncontended platform that's yours. And lastly, APIs, so application programming interfaces. So you may have your own development team, your own DevOps team. You may want to access the telephony platform directly. You've got your own ideas. You want your development team to sandbox this environment and come up with different ways that the telephony could be automated for you, or help with your business processes. Your typical BroadSoft tenancy-based provider is going to tell you, well, we've got this little bit of an API. You can access a small part of our product, but because you're sharing what is a large tenancy-based product, we can't open it up to you. You would jeopardize the other people on the platform. And multi-instance approach, because it's unique to you, it's your platform, every API available within the product is available to you. So that's what I mean by feature comparisons. So we started off with some basic features and then looked to what might be the medium term or the long term future. And that's where a tenancy-based, a multi-instance model differentiates itself from a tenancy-based model. It's in the limitation of those features. So now we move on to deployment scenarios. So remember, I was talking about having having a vanilla flavored deployment scenario on your tenancy-based cloud platform, because it's designed for a model of low or zero touch to the end user. They're not going to get too involved with what's on your network, what's on your site, because it just doesn't fit in with the model. You take your typical tenancy-based cloud-based provider, cloud telephony provider. They provide some kind of access circuit into your premises. That could be your internet-based circuit, but typically, if you're talking about cloud telephony, because of the sensitivity with security of the voice and the sensitivity with the delay and the quality of service, we're talking about generally a fixed access circuit or a private access circuit. What happens on your site? What happens at your premises? So typically, a tenancy-based cloud provider would have a line of demarcation at their router that they provide. They'll provide you with some information about what you need to have, how you need to set up your network, deliver you some IP telephone handsets so you can connect in. But really, you're kind of on your own on your network, and you may have a large campus environment. You may have lots and lots of sites here, and it might be a big thing for you to have to consider and have the skills in-house to be able to make sure your network is ready for cloud-based telephony environment. So if you've got structured cabling, Cat5e or better, you have all the Ethernet switching prerequisites that they dictate, such as having VLANs, quality of service enabled, LLDP, so the telephones get onto the correct VLAN, etc. Then no problem. You can use the cloud-based telephony provider solution from the tenancy-based provider. But what if you've got CW1308, old copper wiring? You currently use digital telephones. They're very fully featured, but they're digital. Or you have analog telephones. Well, your tenancy provider is going to say, well, yeah, we've got a solution for that. We can provide you with these little things called analog terminal adapters, which will turn the IP signal into an analog signal, and you can plug in analog telephones. But that may not be right for you. It may not be good for you. It may not be what you want. An analog telephone typically has a basic feature set. There's no continuity moving between one of your fully featured new cloud telephony VoIP telephones to an analog telephone if you've got users moving around or hot desking. And you've got additional single points of failure with all those analog terminal adapter boxes everywhere. With our cloud-based telephony, we don't need to do that. We pop in a little hybrid gateway, we use the existing cabling, you don't need to change it, and we use a digital equivalent of the IP telephone. It's an identical user experience, identical feature set, no need to recable. That's one example of where your deployment may be restricted if you choose to take a tenancy-based cloud platform versus our multi-instance model. Let's look at another scenario: business continuity and migrating. So, tenancy-based provider, you lose your access circuit, you've lost the solution. You can't even make internal calls. Everything's gone. So if you ask your tenancy provider, how do we mitigate against that risk? They'll say, yeah, we've got a solution for that, no problem. Pop in an backup access circuit to our cloud, to our network. That's all you need to do. But what if that backup access circuit is cost prohibitive? What if you're a long way away from the telephone exchange or the point of presence where you've had your access circuit connected to, and the backup access circuit has to connect back to that same telephone exchange or via a different access method, say fiber to the cabinet or something, but it's cost prohibitive, it's too expensive. It was expensive in the first place to get this big circuit in, let alone having a backup circuit. It may also be that the backup circuit needs to have quite a bit of bandwidth. We could be talking about 50, 100 users here. So if your backup access circuit is an ADSL or a fiber to the cabinet, it may not be big enough anyway to provide proper continuity. You may also, another solution they may say is, well, that's okay, we can divert to mobiles during an outage, during an event. But what if you've got HR, accounting, other departments within your business that's just not appropriate for? They need to be in front of their CRM system or connected to the network, etc. Diverting to their mobiles is not appropriate for your business. They're not able to then transfer the call around, etc. You could send people home or go to an internet cafe. If you've got an internet connection, then you can access our cloud. But again, that could be an issue for departments that's not easy for. They've got desk-bound PCs. They maybe don't have laptops. Maybe it becomes an insurance problem to send people to work from home that you're not currently have a policy for. Perhaps you prefer a local backup method, or, for example, you might still be in contract with ISDN. So with our West-based cloud-based telephony powered by Avaya, what we would do is we would pop in a hybrid gateway. You lose your access circuit, all of the extensions on site would home and register to the local gateway. We can connect that local gateway to backup ISDN lines or backup analog lines. And this may be a very good migration tool for you. If you currently are in contract with ISDN, if you want to take a step approach to go to the cloud and move your calls entirely to cloud-based calls and SIP, then you might choose to have that ISDN circuit left on site for a period of time, and you want to use it. So what I'm saying here is we're not limiting you to just having a backup access circuit or just diverting calls to mobiles when there's a problem or sending people home. We also have other options. And it may be that a local backup option is a preference to you. This is another example of where you're not being restricted and the solution is being tailored to your needs and your requirements, as opposed to you having to bend your business around a cloud-based telephony product in order to use it, which we don't think is correct. The partners that we use to deliver, our solution delivery partners. So clearly we use Avaya for our core telephony infrastructure. Avaya are a global market leader in unified communications and contact center, and we believe their multi-instance approach using their technology is the right way to go with cloud-based telephony. We use Gamma. We use Gamma for our SIP trunking product and wholesale line rental PSTN access. The reason we use Gamma for telephone line connectivity, PSTN line access, is because they are the largest SIP trunk provider in the UK. I think they currently carry about 8% of all of the telephony traffic in the UK, and they're very good at that SIP trunking product. For cloud compute, virtual data center infrastructure, the data center where we hold our multi-instance cloud-based infrastructure, we use Clarinet and Exponentially. And the reason why we use these guys is firstly because they're accredited for security and management systems. They have an international ISO standard for that, so you can be assured that your data, albeit telephony data is not necessarily deemed as critical customer data that's held off-site. You may have voice recordings, you may have sensitive information held in voice recordings or some sensitive information in configurations of user databases on our network, and you can be you can rest assured that that's safe. These providers are virtual network operators. We're not limited to their own infrastructure to deliver a circuit to you, so it gives us more flexibility. We can use BT to deliver you an access circuit, Virgin Media, Colt, all managed end-to-end by the virtual network operators. They're able to provide tier 1 internet access from 2 meg to 10 gigabit. So when we connect a circuit to you, we're not limiting you to say, okay, you can only use our cloud telephony service down here. What we're saying is we're going to provide you with a connection that you can split up and use and converge all of your services down that same single pipe if you want to. So you might currently be paying quite a lot of money purely for an internet connection or purely for a managed firewall service or a backup solution. What we're saying is we'll provide you, yes, with the pipe that will connect your internet telephony service, your cloud-based telephony service, but we can also provide a subsection of that bandwidth off for internet access and any other solution that you might take from the cloud. So there is choice. There's choice there using those providers. That concludes the second part of the agenda. Thank you.